welcome to what we see as the final episode of season 2 of Small Talk with RainKraft. I'm Hasita.
And I'm Subha. And we're glad to have you back here. And thank you so much for joining us across our episodes this season. We've had fun bringing it to you, including a couple of wonderful guest speakers, and we hope to continue more of the same in the next season. But we do have a lot of new ideas, and we want to talk through today about how that really has come about.
So, you might have noticed that we've been on a little break. Have you noticed? We hope you have. So, the little break has involved for both of us a lot of thinking, a lot of soul searching, and a lot of all the things we do because we are human beings. And as we head into a new year, we are both excited and scared. Excited because we've kind of set out on a slightly different path from the one that we've been on so far. And afraid because this is a path that we don't really know.
So, how has this year been for you, Hasita?
It's been a big roller coaster, I would say. And that's probably true for a lot of us, thanks to the pandemic. But I don't want to, kind of say, oh, the pandemic is the reason why it's been like this.
It's true, right? I think, if you look back, almost every year in our lives has probably been some form of roller coaster.
Yes.
Now we just have this general category to dump it in, saying, oh, it's a pandemic year.
Yeah.
And now realizing that it's not a year, it's a couple of years, maybe.
Maybe even 3,
Yeah.
maybe 4, like who knows, maybe the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Yeah, kind of looks like that. On that not so hopeful note. So, what has this year really meant for you?
I think we came into 2021 as a family really thinking, oh, we've survived the tough year and it's going to get easier and we're going to be able to take better care, or we will last the pandemic and come out fully, everybody intact. That didn't happen. We did lose someone, and the challenge and the grief of that aside, I think the year has been an opportunity to be extremely reflective. When you lose someone in the family, you do start to think a lot about what really life is. It becomes a bit of an existential question, no matter what. So I think that in a way has been helpful, because for each of us it's helped think about priorities. It's helped think about what we want to be doing with our time, and more importantly, what we don't want to be doing with our time and the time we get with each other. So in that way, it's a positive outcome, I would say.
So I'm going to latch on to what you said about what we don't want to be doing with our time, which really makes me think about the whole context of the Great Resignation. People are quitting the things that don't make sense anymore. And while some of them are more tactical reasons, like, needing to go back to work at a time when maybe they're not comfortable doing that, some of the support systems that allow us to work the way, or at least used to allow us to work the way we did, are not in place anymore. But also, there's a larger question there, and this is for all of those people among us who don't really have the option to great resign, right? So, what happens when my identity or my future, in a way, has been invested in this thing that I'm doing today, but somewhere I have lost the plot, right? So, at least that's the larger feeling that I have held for a very long time this year. And the fact that it started with anxiety and it started with a lot of therapy has also made me reflect a lot about how I want to be and who I want to be going into the next year. So, would you have any tips for someone who's in this extremely confused place of juggling too many things? What would you say?
No, I hear you. I think sometimes when you're not in that employee mode, you do actually envy it a bit, that hey, you can just call it quits. You can say goodbye to that toxic boss and that not so nice client, and you can move on and you can change your scenery so easily. But those of us who are going at it on our own, you just have to stick with it, right? And sometimes you're losing the plot, or the road ahead is not very clear, and you're thinking, what do I do? I can't. There's no I mean, there are plan Bs, but they all kind of revolve around me doing something on my own or as a small group or as a small community. So I think, Hasita, what we've been talking about a lot is not really resigning from what we're doing as such, but letting go of some things that just have served their purpose.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's a bit like being in the playground, right? And you're playing certain games. And at some point you grow out of those games and you want to play other ones. So yeah, I mean the familiar is always a very comfortable place to be. And I mean personally I find it also very hard to give up on something in the interest of something else, largely because I cannot today see what that something else looks like, perhaps.
Mm.
Uh, but I do find comfort and maybe a certain amount of solace in the idea that it will give us a certain amount of relief. And that's probably not such a bad place to start. Like, if that means that tomorrow I have all the time in the world and I'm going to take some of that time to watch Christmas movies, I am largely okay with that as well. So, yeah, probably not a bad place to get started,
Yeah.
but get started we must.
Correct. No, I think the whole what the year has led to, and a lot of what we're going to talk about in the coming year is really about being intentional with what you do and how you spend your time. And we've been finding out bit by bit that when you're intentional about what you want to do, who you want to work with, how many hours a day you want to spend doing that, then the rest of the metrics, right? The bit of success, the money, the kind of life you want to be living, it also follows. But when intentionality leads the way, it's a much more pleasant journey. Because if I just focus on saying, hey, I want, 20 clients by the end of a quarter or by the end of half year, and these are the kind of clients I want, and I'm very intentional about it. I reach out to those kind of people. I'm networking with those kind of people. Whatever I'm consuming or putting out is addressing that kind of a clientele. That intentionality, I think, is what we need to focus on. It helps say goodbye to a lot of distractions, a lot of things that I think one thing, Hasita, that we've been realizing is we just love to be busy.
Oh, absolutely. Who
Right?
doesn't? I mean, the longer the task list, I think the more purposeful it makes us feel.
Yeah.
And that's true for you, for me, for everyone we know to a large extent. And that's where I'm liking the idea of creating a productive void, to be able to leave ourselves with enough time and enough space to let some of these things present themselves to us as well, with intention again, like you said. So it's not about just filling time up or emptying time up for the sake of doing that, but more of, okay, I want my year or I want the rest of my life even to look a certain way. And if that means that I have to hit pause today, then let me do it and let me do it with love. Speaking of consumption, Subha, uh, a lot of us who are in the whole space of starting something, running something, whatever that thing might be, the real value we bring to the table is the experiences we have. Would you agree with that largely?
Totally. I think what we consume, and again, if we're intentional about what we consume, it makes a world of difference to our mind space and the kind of work we do, the kind of interactions we have with people. So I think not. I mean, yeah, we all love a good weekend binge, right? On a TV show that doesn't make much sense, which is
Yeah,
fine.
absolutely.
But also, let's binge on stuff which truly speak to who we are and what we want to be doing.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm also looking forward to our year end newsletter where we get to shower all these goodies that we've gathered over the year on our readers. And even if you pick up just one or two, even one book or one show to watch or one podcast to listen to, our job is done. The idea is just to share what we liked and more importantly, why we liked it, why it made sense to us, why it spoke to us. So that will come your way or may have already come your way.
So, in the interest of instant gratification, then, because the newsletter is about a week or 10 days away at least, Oh no, actually, it's a lot longer. Somehow I was thinking Christmas is next week. I wish. Subha, what would you recommend that we could do in the 2 weeks preceding the break? Something for us to listen, something to feel good with. Is there something like that that you would love to recommend?
I'm just thinking through what really made my listening and reading very, very joyful during the year. I think what I really enjoyed, and some of these may be recommendations we've already put out there. If you're into anything audio, please don't miss Tom Hanks reading The Dutch House. I think just his voice and that book, that's a lovely, lovely way to spend your time when you're walking or cooking or whatever it is that you're doing. Another show which a bunch of my fellow coaches brought to my attention, and I think it's a hidden gem, is it's one called In Treatment on Disney Hotstar, and I'm into the third season of four. It's really each season is 30-40 episodes of different individuals with their therapist Paul. And the beauty of it is that Paul, like all of us, is equally flawed, is equally, challenged by circumstances, by different situations in his life. And then he, sits with his client and tries to make it a slightly better day for them, give them clarity. I think the characters are beautiful. They are so real, so whole. The casting is perfect. I think it's a show that all of us who like a little bit of self discovery, introspection, and just trying to understand human behavior, I think you'd really enjoy that. What about you?
Me, I mean, honestly, I'm someone who's deeply impacted and influenced by travel. Uh, and that's not necessarily me getting on a plane and going somewhere all the time, as I've discovered in the last couple of years. I've been thinking a lot about going to some of the hyperlocal places, living with the locals, understanding their way of life, and using that as a reference point for something to bring back into my life. And I had this experience recently when I traveled to Coorg to stay in a friend's farmhouse. And I realized that their house is literally, it shares a gate with the Nagarholi National Park. That's literally how close they are to the forest. And the way they live, it's not overtly in submission to the jungle. At the same time, it's not overtly city like. And what I mean by that is they've taught me that it's possible to have a healthy respect for the planet while also living your own life. And I think that's a great lesson that I've garnered on boundaries this year. So please do take short yet safe trips. Most importantly, please do not put anyone else at risk in doing this. But yeah, just take that car or that bike or that bus and go somewhere. That would be my.
Yeah. And I think one that's a lovely shout out to Vishal and Aparna at Devi Villa in Coorg. A great getaway if you're looking for a place this holiday season. I think I love the thought that you bring out of just supporting a lot of local businesses. And it really makes a difference. It makes such a huge difference for a small local business when they get love and support from the community. So try and do that this holiday season in wherever you go out to eat or your gifting choices. That would be wonderful.
And be sure to be fully vaccinated before you do that.
Yes, please.
Right?
Double shots, everyone.
Yes.
So, with that, we say goodbye to the year and to all our wonderful listeners, and to let you know that we will be back in January. We are very, very ready to get into season three with some wonderful episodes lined up. We're putting a lot of thought into it. We're going to make sure that we're a little more regular on this show, and also to bring you thoughts, ideas, and people that we truly believe will add value to your day.
Yeah, the format of this podcast itself is going to change significantly. And we are going to learn and we're going to understand a lot of different perspectives on real life, right? People who have been through these journeys and have lived this life. And they've graciously agreed to come and share these thoughts with us. We'd just like to close with something that we saw from Adam Grant on LinkedIn recently. And he says, if the holiday season is causing you to recoup instead of celebrate, then there's something wrong with the rest of the year.
I saw that. That's quite a take, right? That if your life is so filled with busyness and that the holidays only means that hey, I have to recharge, then just think a little bit about how you may want to change just one thing so that there's also time and you walk into these breaks thinking, let me celebrate.
Yeah, redesign everything. I think that's the motto for 2022.
We're really looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And we are so excited for the year to come. Also, a little afraid, but mostly excited. We'll see you in season 3.
See you at Small Talk with RainKraft. Bye. Happy holidays. Thank you for listening till the very end. We hope you had some fun. If you have some thoughts on the episode's content or tips to share with the audience, please send us a voice note at speakpipe.com/raincraft. That's speakpipe.com/raincraft. And we'll make it a part of a future episode maybe. If you prefer writing in, we are at connect@raincraft.in. See you in a couple of weeks.